Good evening and welcome to the public input workshop on the statewide implementation analysis for a beverage recycling container plan for the state of Rhode Island. My name is David McLaughlin, and I'll be providing the presentation tonight. And I'll also be managing the public input. We did a similar presentation today at the DM offices in Rhode Island from 12 to 2. And we're going to be doing the same presentation this evening from 6 to 8. We really appreciate your time and your interest in this topic. Our goal is to make sure that your input is received. We're going to ask people to use the hand signal at the end if you'd like to provide input, and then I'll go in order that your hand was raised. I guess if you want to be the first person to talk, whoever raises their hand first will be that person. But the call will be on until 8 p.m. So if you decide to leave and come back at 7:55, we'll be here. So again, thanks for joining. We'll get going here. So our agenda for tonight is provide a welcome, some opening remarks. I want to provide a presentation of our work plan. It's largely going to follow the presentation that we gave to our House Committee of Environment in late May. It's reflective of where this project is going. And then we wanted to allow for public input. While it would be interesting to engage in dialogue, really the purpose is to have just your input. So you'll have an opportunity to speak. And again, we are recording, and we'll be able to, appropriately and aggressively try to infuse your comments into our next steps. And then we'll end the meeting at 8 o'clock. So again, my name is David McLaughlin. I'm a Program and Services Officer in Sustainable Management at DEM. My intern's not with us this evening, but she helped out in a great way today. I want to mention that today's meeting, it aligns with the advisory council meetings that we've had so far. On June 9th, we had an advisory council meeting where we introduced the members, the background of the organization that's supporting this effort, and an overview of the overall project. It'll be similar to what we present tonight. Last week, we did a presentation of the needs assessment and the next steps on the analysis for the program plans. In the third meeting, to be scheduled, will be a presentation of the preliminary results. You may have heard that meeting would be in October, and that's probably correct, but as far as the specific date, it's still to be determined. All of our meetings are in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. So when it is determined when we're going to have these meetings, you can find them both on the DEM website as well as on the Secretary of State website. And we also try to make sure to share the information with our advisory council, our partners in the community, and the industry. So a little bit of background here. I won't go back to the 70s and 80s, which some of these things did start discussion. But, in 2023, from September onwards till March of 2025, a special joint legislative commission was assembled with 20 commission members. They met 13 times and really had a great group of well-represented subject matters from across the country provide presentations as well as testimony and public comment on these topics of, deposit return systems and extended producer responsibility for printed paper and packaging. And it certainly crossed over into the world of solid waste and recycling. But the outcome of it was that the commission outlined 3 general program options in the final report. The final report's available on the General Assembly's website. And the 3 points were really 3 tiers, right? So one was consideration of deposit return system, otherwise known as a bottle bill or recycling refund. The second one was consideration of an extended producer responsibility EPR program. In fairness, I think printed paper and packaging has kind of taken over EPR, but this is just one component. Here in Rhode Island, we have EPR for mattresses and paint, and to some extent for mercury. But there's a lot of other EPR programs, but loosely we'll use that term to cover those covered materials. And the third option was to explore a consideration of a combined DRS and EPR program. The report itself certainly has a lot more bullets, but we thought these were appropriate to share with our House committee and with you this evening. On the DRS side, we're looking at it to be producer run and funded system, include all types of beverage and recyclable container types, set a nominal 10-cent redemption value, include clear and enforcement targets with eventual targets of at least 85%, utilize technologies to create networks of return options that are convenient and easy for consumers to use, and does not require retailers to take back empty containers. Again, there's more details in the report, but those were some of the high-level aspects of what evolved from the study commission. The next option was consideration of extended producer responsibility program. This would be overseen by a permanent advisory board. It would include a nonprofit producer responsibility organization with a 5-year program plan prepared by the pro. It would show how end markets will be utilized for collective material. It will include an education and outreach program to improve recycling and composting. And again, these are just highlights. As an example, there's a reuse and refill component to EPR that's just not listed here, but I wanted to keep the slides a little bit short. And the third option that came out was really a combination of a DRS and an EPR system. So just some of the macro high-level aspects of what came out of the study commission. Again, that's hosted on our General Assembly's website page. The final report, every one of the commission meetings, all the presentations, and all the public comment. Through the statute that was passed, because none of those bills went forward, but they passed the law to enact this statewide implementation assessment. One of the requirements was to create an advisory council. And some of the composition was derived based on the statutory requirements. Here in Rhode Island, we don't have county government like is available in other parts of the country, but we do have 5 counties that represent the geographical zones. And there was a directive to have a representative from Department of Public Works from each one of these counties. So respectively, the members that you see listed here represent these particular counties. And we appreciate their time and service to help move this conversation forward. There was also a directive to include individuals representing the Rhode Island packaging or consumer goods producers. We elected to have 2 individuals, Bree and Elizabeth, as listed to play that role. We appreciate their contributions. It was required to have someone, a MRF operator, and Jared from Resource Recovery Corporation provides excellent insight. So we appreciate Jared's time. An individual from a composting organics or processing facility, Leo Pollock, wealth of experience, helps out with that. Rhode Island Reuse and Refill System, Nils Weldy from the Brewers Association Guild is helping out with that. And 3 individuals from the academic or scientific experts, Jim from Rhode Island College, Emily Howe from Clean Water Action, and Jed Thorpe from Save the Bay really providing that depth and breadth of knowledge and experience and perspective. So it's great to have this council assembled. And I appreciate Jed for being on the call tonight. I believe I saw him there. So thank you there. So a little bit of background. We took the requirements from the law that was passed. We created a request for proposal with our purchasing department, the Department of Administration. We put it out to bid. We had several proposals. In Rhode Island, we have a defined process of how we manage procurement. The technical review team scored the proposals based on their merit of functional value. And then we moved on to the cost proposals, which is more of an algorithmic approach. And it was RIRRC was selected as the top vendor, and we're really happy to have them on board. They've got over 40 years of experience solving for circularity, materials management, sustainable products, and packaging. They've guided collaborations to tackle infrastructure and recovery challenge. They have US-based experts specialized in material sustainability and life cycle management. They've supported brands, retailers, trade groups, manufacturers, and beyond. And they really provide a unique knowledge and experience in crafting sustainable, responsible, impactful strategies. I've had the pleasure to work with the team now for the better part of the last 2 to 3 months. And we're well on our way with clear communications and outcomes, and look forward to all the next steps. So that's a little bit of a background of our consulting partner. What's great about the team, Rachel Perman in the upper left-hand corner is the consulting manager, and Maria, listed in the lower left, is the data analyst, and she's on the call tonight. But as different times of this project hit different milestones, whether it's the needs assessment, the program plan, cost benefit analysis, if it's any high-level architectural designs, certain individuals will step in and play their role. So it's a really great team composition. Everyone brings their different strengths, and we look forward to continuing the work with the people we've met, as well as the people that are working behind the scenes and the other folks that will show up at later stages in the project. I won't go through the entire list of their background. That would take several evenings. But I did just want to capture, I think, on a small scale, working with Vermont, which is in similar size to Rhode Island, at least from a population point of view. They've done detailed work on beverage container recovery, and looking at financial and environmental impacts of different programs and different key figure metric outcomes. Working at a larger state, but next door in New York, they've worked on gap assessments and needs assessment through the operational capacity and infrastructure of their current system, which is similar to what we needed here in our first task that we just completed. And they provided recommendations. And while the state of Washington is way over there, they are similar in terms of forward-looking, having a keen focus on climate and solutions that take into consideration the needs of the entire community. And we really appreciate this diverse, relevant background. So again, this is just a sprinkling of some of the expertise that they have. So as we embarked on the project, I wanted just to make sure that everyone was aware of kind of the primary project goal is we're aiming to provide case analysis to best provide Rhode Island decision makers as they consider the policy options of extended producer responsibility for packaging and paper and a deposit return system, where both programs would be managed by one or multiple producer responsibility organizations. So the idea is not that we're going to come out of this with direction that we tell our General Assembly what to do. It's that we provide case analysis to best position the decision makers as they consider these options in the next General Assembly session next year. We structured the RFP and the work effort to have 5 components. And you're probably wondering why I said 5 and there's only 4 here, but that's because I'll explain it. But there's really 5 pieces. The first one is we need to do a needs assessment, right? So the baseline information, what's common across Rhode Island, what's unique in Rhode Island, how's Rhode Island operating? And that really forms the foundation. Then there's 5 program plans that we wanted the RIRRC to look at. That's what's actively being done right now. The third piece was to then build the cost-benefit analysis. Certainly the program plans work closely with the cost-benefit analysis, and they both reside on utilizing the foundation of the needs assessment. And the fourth and final piece is reporting on the findings and recommendations. The fifth component, although it's not explicitly listed, is the public outreach and engagement. This is a part of it tonight. And while it's incredibly important, it's not mechanically relevant to these 4 different constructs of how we're building out the effort. So these are the stepwise increments that we have for the deliverables, where the outreach and engagement with the public and the advisory council is ongoing throughout. So a little bit about the needs assessment. And generally you could say is how is recycling currently happening in Rhode Island? And also, what are the things that are relevant that need to be considered as we go forward? So the team has worked on a statewide characterization desktop study. We've built on some of the previous studies that we've done. They've analyzed the recycling access and collection methods. We have 39 municipalities in Rhode Island. We all do things somewhat similar, but sometimes different. We've looked at recycling operational costs, both the costs that are, burdened on the communities, on the ratepayers, as well as on our material recovery facility. Looking at the recycling infrastructure analysis and then market analysis of the different commodities that flow through the MRF, a review of the reuse and refill systems that are available in Rhode Island, and the evaluation of current litter rates. So again, there's more in the needs assessment, but these are the major components. Then moving on to the 5 program plans. So these are the 5 program plans that we'll be looking at, that we'll be providing back to the General Assembly. The first one is as is. So this would be to continue with the good laws that were passed, the good effort that's underway in the state. It may be the path forward, it may not be, but that would be to continue as is. The second would be proposed legislation that was introduced at the end of the legislation session in 2025. And this was a combination of an EPR and DRS program. So that's going to be looked at verbatim how it was introduced. The third option is an EPR standalone. So we've provided the guidelines that we'd like to have the third option be an EPR standalone, but we've given RIRRC the flexibility to define what would be in an EPR standalone program. It would not necessarily be the EPR components of H6207. It would be their best recommendations of an EPR standalone program. So that's really the spirit of what's meant by standalone. The DRS standalone, again, I won't repeat the rationale of standalone, but this would be just a deposit return system, the best practices that they want to support. And the fifth option would be RIRRC's suggestion. And it's really going to be decided, soon. And, it could be do one of these 4 options exactly how they're listed. it could be a combination. It could be something else. But we wanted to provide an opportunity for their subject matter expertise and, continual improvements and learning so that they could suggest something that maybe wasn't contained within the 4 that we had identified. So the program plans will have several components. Some of the highlights are: it will summarize key elements. It will contain a SWOT analysis for each program plan. It will contain the system needs, a timetable and implementation schedule, impact analysis, and a cost-benefit analysis. Now, you might say, I thought the cost-benefit analysis is the next part, and you're right, it is. But we do see that there's some synergies here, so we wanted to just give some visibility that as the program plan evolves, we have to make sure that it's structured, that the cost-benefit analysis can really rise up and it's available so that it's clear information for the stakeholders when we get to the finish line. Speaking of which, the cost-benefit analysis. This is where we're going to translate each program element and evaluation of the metrics into dollars and measurable environmental and social benefits. We'll be looking at investments and improvements required and associated costs. We'll be identifying who pays the program costs, the potential synergies with programs in neighboring states. We're very close to all of our neighboring states. Economic impacts, greenhouse gas emissions and landfill lifespan analysis, and social and environmental impacts. So whether it's the environmental, social, financial, we want to make sure that these terms are associated with quantifiable, meaningful input so that they go along with the program plans and that they're readily available for the General Assembly to make important, but likely, but more so informed decisions with this information as transparent as possible. And then the final report will provide new insight and synthesize recommendations for a path forward. It will certainly include an executive summary, background and objectives, the methodology and study design, the modeling results, the key findings, and the recommended paths forward. And again, that will really build on the needs assessment, the program plans, and the cost-benefit analysis, all of which will be infused with guidance and input from the Advisory Council, as well as the public input workshops. So this is a dated slide, but it's still appropriate. The team got on board and we're getting up to speed on things, reviewing inventory, organizing data, development of material lists to be used in the desktop waste characterization and elsewhere, determination of time frame for forecasting, collection of regional and New England data to support the Rhode Island implementation. And a lot, the team continues to develop not only a robust data set, but really a good institutional knowledge of the landscape of Rhode Island and our adjacent neighbors and some of the challenges and opportunities. So today, this was the last slide, but I have another slide. So this will be the second to last slide, but I would like to just go over it a little bit. In the lower part of this Gantt chart is a section called Outreach. The second line, the Outreach section, titled Facilitation of Information Gathering Sessions. We had planned to do this in July, and here we are in July, and we're doing the session, July 21st. We did one today in the 12 to 2 in person, and then we're doing a second one tonight from 6 to 8, which is now. The next line, the public review of the final report, we're tentatively scheduling to do this in October. The date's to be determined. And the top line in the outreach section is the facilitation of advisory council meetings. Again, this project timeline is written from the work the consultant's doing. So our May council meeting occurred in early June. Our July council meeting happened last week. And our September council meeting is likely now going to fall into October, but the date is still to be determined. If we jump back to the top, there's certainly a lot of detail listed here for the needs assessment, and that's pretty much wrapped up right now. The advisory council got a briefing on the needs assessment last week, and we're currently reviewing the final report. The consultant is actively working on the program plans and developing the 5 potential program plans and expecting to wrap that up at the end of this month into early August. And quickly following that, we'll begin the work on the cost benefit analysis in August into September. In the latter section of the findings and recommendations, we're looking for RIRRC to submit to DEM a substantial draft report in September. Now, I recognize that some of the cost benefit analysis will still be going on, but what we'd like to do with that report is review it, get it ready, flush out any topics we need to resolve, and use that draft report to be shared with the advisory council and the public in October. And then in October, we'll get that input from both the public, the advisory council, and we'll make sure to then create working with RIRRC, we'll arrive at a final report that will be submitted to the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management on November 1st. And then the goal is that DEM will provide the final report to the governor, the General Assembly, the co-chairs of the Joint Legislative Commission by December 1st. And that's required in the statute, is to submit the report by December 1st. So this is an achievable and aggressive plan. And we look forward to making these milestones achieved. And I want to thank everyone for being on the call tonight to learn more about this important topic. There's a lot of cross-disciplinary components to this. There's a wide swath of perspectives and expertise. And the next slide is not terribly exciting, but I think it's important. Say you're on the call right now and you don't want to talk, but you want to provide comment. You can scan the QR code. You'll go to our Smart Comment portal. A link to the Smart Comment portal has been on our website page for the last 3 months, maybe 2.5 months. We're going to be switching to a different software product in the end of the month, so it will still be there. It just won't be it won't be the Smart Comment. It'll be another, I think it'll be Microsoft Forms. But in any event, you can share this with your colleagues, your constituents, members of your organizations. I'm going to leave this up. I'm going to jump back over here to the meeting invite. I welcome the opportunity to receive any public input from anyone on the call. I would ask you to raise your hand. I'll select you, and then you can go off mute. And then just introduce yourself, your name, maybe the organization you're with or the community you're from. And if you could limit your remarks to 5 minutes, that would be fantastic. It's 6:31. We're going to be on the call till 8 o'clock. So if you decide you want to like leave for an hour and 20 minutes and come back, you can do that. Be here. We will be ending the call at 8 o'clock. The smart comment portal remains open. So this is not your only time to provide input. You could provide input whenever you want. But I did want to make sure that you had an opportunity to get a presentation. And again, I thank you for your time. So it looks like we have a couple takers. So Dylan, thanks for raising your hand first. Feel free to go off mute, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, David, and thanks for the opportunity to get a chance to talk. And really, it was great getting an overview of this work. My name is Dylan DeThomas. I lead state policy advocacy efforts for the Recycling Partnership. The Recycling Partnership is a national nonprofit dedicated to improving and expanding the recycling system around the country. I am based all the way over there in Portland, Oregon currently, the other Portland, as we like to say when we're in your neck of the woods, although our CEO is based in Providence. So we also have Rhode Island ties. We've tracked the ongoing conversation of comprehensive EPR. Comprehensive EPR, as we determine it, is both EPR plus bottle bill or DRS or recycling refunds in Rhode Island for several years, and we're also part of the Coalition for High Performance Recycling, or CHIPR, that is advocating in support of these bills in Rhode Island. And we're also deeply involved in both advocacy and implementation of the 7 U.S. states that have passed EPR to date. And we're excited to see the results of this statewide implementation analysis and hope that it's going to continue to inform a robust and productive debate and discussion within the Rhode Island legislature. We know these policies are critically important to be able to raise Rhode Island's current 28% residential recycling rate. Just wanted to offer 2 quick short comments on our ends. The first is to encourage your contractors, RRS, to explore the financial savings that CAA, the Producer Responsibility Organization that's in charge of, they are the chosen pro in 6 of those 7 states, and are currently, CAA Oregon is currently implementing the EPR law in my home state of Oregon, to encourage RS to see the financial savings that CAA has had in sharing infrastructure of the Bottle Bill Producer Responsibility Organization in Oregon, OBRC, the Oregon Beverage Recycling Cooperative. CAA Oregon has partnered with them to utilize OBRC's depots as a collection point for materials like plastic polyethylene film, as well as HDPE 6-pack carriers. In Oregon, and we think that similar savings should be factored into RRS's analysis of the SIA. We've included CAA's program plan as well as the first annual report in our written comments, but would encourage RRS to have direct conversations with CAA if possible. And then lastly, we also wanted to note that we've been closely tracking the National Association of Wholesaler Distributors lawsuit in Oregon, which I'm sure has been a conversation topic as you're analyzing EPR as a debate or as a concept and option for Rhode Island. While it's too soon to know exactly how the judge is going to decide the case, we feel quite strongly that the outcome will result in minor changes to the legislation in Oregon, but not a wholesale, quote, rollback of EPR for packaging, a narrative that we've heard. And with that in mind, we wanted to encourage RIDEM and RS to stay focused on examining the cost to implement these policies in Rhode Island and have a positive mindset. And with that, I wanted to thank you and appreciate the time you gave me. And I hope that you don't have to stay on this call until 8, but it sounds like you're going to no matter what. So thanks again for letting me chat. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Dylan. Thanks for your time and your comments. Okay, we'll be moving on to Mike. Mike, the
Thank
floor
you,
is
David.
yours.
Thank you, David. My name is Michael Smaha. I'm Vice President of State Government Relations for the Can Manufacturers Institute, trade association representing metal can manufacturers. But we're also a member of the Coalition for High Performance Recycling that Dylan DeThomas referenced. Just a little background. The coalition will be submitting some written comments at a later date, so we will be weighing in with some ideas and suggestions for RRS. But we are a diverse coalition of global beverage brands and packaging manufacturers, as well as policy experts around circularity, with a particular focus on the combination of extended producer responsibility and recycling refunds for beverage containers. So we appreciate the state doing its due diligence and taking a look at one of the options being that combination. We think that there's a real opportunity for Rhode Island to create a program that is a really modernized and unique approach, and it could be a lead for the rest of the country to consider EPR and recycling refunds together. So again, we will be submitting some comments at a later date, but just wanted to thank you guys for hosting this meeting.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate your comments. All right, we'll move on to Scott.
Thank you very much. I'm Scott DeFife. I'm the president of the Glass Packaging Institute. I've just popped in late, but my colleague Avery has been in the meeting and been listening in, and she told me that I've been juggling some public comment hearings and things like that on the West Coast. I just want to also echo what Dylan and Mike have said, and thank you for the opportunity to say a few words about our support. The glass industry in North America also supports the comprehensive EPR and deposit return systems. I think in particular, Rhode Island has an opportunity with these policies to completely transform how glass is handled in Rhode Island. And it would move from something that is largely just going to landfill to something that would be almost universally recycled. The streams and the supply chain for handling glass is very present in New England for non-commingled material. And so all the glass, and most of the glass is going to be a beverage. And so all of that material will have a home, a processing home, and we'll make it back into end markets. In addition, I know that there are many people in the Northeast that are interested in reusable, refillable programs. That is the kind of thing that with glass needs to be handled in a separate return system, like a deposit return that could be envisioned by the policies here. I'm also a member of the Coalition for High Performance Recycling, like my other two colleagues, and I just thought it would be helpful to add a few words in from the glass industry so that you know that we're here in support as well.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate your time.
Sure.
All right. Welcome to stay, but I'm not really going to say anything more. And if you stay and you want to talk later, you can. Or like Scott, if you join in late, I'll be here. But again, I want to thank everyone for their time so far this evening. Yeah, thank you.